Well, hello everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Ron, and we are Empire Coins and Collectibles. Of course, the we is me and Miss Empire, the little puppet master that's out there controlling everything that I do. And I meant that in a very loving way, Miss Empire. So, what's today's episode going to be about? Well, I need your help. I bought a couple of rolls of 1972 Brilliant Uncirulated pennies, and I think some of them may be doubled dies. So I'm going to show a few to you in order for us to maybe make a decision together. But before we go there, if you could, please like, share, and subscribe. Now, a little bit of the backstory before we get started. I always go to the local coin shops and the local gold and silver shops, and I've made friends over the many years with many of them, and they know what I like. So when I come in, they'll point me to the new inventory. So I did that with one of my friends at the local coin shop, and they showed me two Brilliant Uncirulated 1972 rolls of Lincoln cents. Now, if any of you have done any looking at era coins whatsoever, you know that some of the more expensive doubled dies out there, outside of the 68, 69, and the 55, are the 72 Lincoln cents. Those are quite pricey, especially when you get up to MS 67, 68, and 69. In some instances, some people think they may be a little rarer than some of the other double dies, such as the 55. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I think perhaps the 68, 69 double dies on the Lincoln cents are perhaps more rare than the rest. But today, it's the 1972, and they're from the P Mint, not the D Mint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change cameras, and this right here is my light. When I change camera views, I'm going to turn this light on, and first I will show you the coin and the coin flip with this camera, and then you can't see it over here. Maybe I can turn it where you can tilt it where you can see it. See that little thing right there? That's the display of my coin microscope. But let's go ahead and go to this camera, and I'll turn the light on, and then we'll take a look at each of the coins as I then put them under the microscope. So you should be seeing now this particular camera looking down at the box of coins and those coins in the coin flip. Now I've just turned this light on, and the reason why I do that is if I don't have this light on, this camera right here doesn't focus real well on the coins in the coin flip. We'll start with this one. I mean, you can look at that jewel. It is brilliant uncirculated, no doubt. And look at this note, slightly rotated. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just notice the orientation of the staples, and when I flip it over, we see that there is a slight rotation, just a very slight. Now, none of the coin grading surfaces is going to call that out. It's not significant enough. Okay, now I'm going to place this jewel under the coin microscope, so I'm going to have to change cameras. I think that's pretty good. Now, I do have the actual lens lights on, and it's going to be, you're going to see these little globular lights reflected in the cellophane. But that's not what's important. What's important is what you're seeing now. Look at the 1972. Look at that little double edge of the left side, lower left side of that coin. That is indicative in many of the books that I've read of a double die. You can see that the 2 is just south of the 2 that is on top, and then over to the right a bit. And you can see that little curvature right there off the right side of the 2. Same thing with the 7, just south and to the right of the original 7. So the reason why we can call that a double die, this is my argument, right, is that it's repeated among many of the coins in that box that I showed you originally. Now let's kind of look around the rest of it and see if there's anything else telling about it. Look at, I get the lights just right. look at the I and the L. Look right there on the L. Just where the upper leg goes down to the horizontal leg. There is a bit of that L beneath it sneaking out and peeking, and you can see it right there. Now, some people may say, well, Ron, this is probably machine doubling. I don't know, given that the date was as pronounced as it is. Look over here at the Y. That thing sticks out up and above and to the right. So what do you think? Is this a double die? It'd be a DDO if it is. Now, some of this may be damage to the end, but it looks like, and I got a damage to my toothpick. Let me change toothpicks if I can get one that's pretty sharp. We can see that there's something peeking out beneath here. I don't know if it's a second end or if that's some damage to the die. But if you look over here at the G, the same sort of thing is happening in that upper inside of the G and then down below. So the question is, are we seeing a double die? I'm going to take it back to the 2, and I'm not going to show you the other side. It's an uncirculated, brilliant uncirculated reverse. The interesting focus on this coin is on the coin itself, on the obverse. Now I'm going to share a screen. Let me do something right quick before I forget it. I have a really good friend over in Great Britain. His name's Gavin. He does the Sunderland coin hunt, and I watch his videos quite often. He finds some interesting British coins. There's doubling. There is upside down lettering. There's all sorts of errors he finds, and he's out there looking to fill his collection books. I would highly recommend that you check out his channel. It's kind of like serene as he goes through the coin hunt. He's looking at the coins, and it's just very quiet, and all you hear is his voice talking about the coins, and it's just excellent. I really like watching him and his coin hunts, and I think you would too. So now let's see if we can flip over to the double die. What I have is Variety Vista. That website opened up, and I've filtered on the double dies, the 1972s. And we can look at this too in the lower right of the pictures, the 1972 from the Philadelphia Mint. And you can see some doubling there, not exactly like ours. Ours is more to the south. Over here, you see the doubling on that one as well, okay? Here on the L, you can see a little bit of doubling peeking out where the vertical leg joins the horizontal leg of the L. That's kind of similar to what we've seen before. So do we have a double die? I don't know. I don't think so. Let me go ahead and go back to the coin microscope. Okay, so here's our coin microscope, and literally it appears that this doubling is more pronounced. It's more pronounced. So I wouldn't call it a machine doubling. I would call it a double die. We're going to rotate it around just a bit. You can see it more pronounced that way. And look at the 9. Inside that curve of the 9, right there, that's indicative of doubling, as well as over here on this side. I don't know what's going on with my toothpicks, but they seem to have shattered, and they're fuzzy on the end. I guess that's what happens with wooden pointers. And then look here now. I've moved it over. Look at that significant tip of the 7. There's 2 tips right there on that 7. So I would say this is a double die. And this is the one that we just looked at, so I'll place it right there. Let's look at another one. Now, they're going to have all the same main features in that they're a 1972 Lincoln cent. Will this focus? There it is. They're all brilliant uncirculated, but some of them have different types of doubling. So let's just go ahead and take a look at this one on the coin microscope. So I'm going to now go down to the date, and you can see that it's less pronounced here, although there seems to be a little bit of doubling that's just north and up on that 7. coming out right there. And then there's a hint coming out on the 9, up and to the right on the 1. Not as pronounced. You can see the upper hip, if you will, of the 2. There appears to be some doubling there. But it's not as dramatic as what we'd seen earlier. Let's go over to Liberty. Yeah, I mean, on the L again, and this is kind of similar to the pictures that we see on Variety Vista, there's a tip of the inner L, or the lower L, the L that's beneath, peeking out above the L that's on top. And then we have that same sort of thing of the upper leg that's to the right, peeking out from beneath the top L. Do we see anything else? Typically, you'll see something on the R, and the R leg seems to be quite beefy there, and the E seems to be quite beefy, and the B on this backside seems to be quite beefy, and you can kind of see a second tip on that upper left edge sneaking out beneath the B. So that looks to be perhaps some doubling. Now, whether it's a double die or not, I don't know. Now, on the N, we're seeing another N kind of sneaking out on the left-hand side, and there seems to be some notching up on that upper tip of the N, the upper left. Maybe. The G seems to have something sneaking out beneath the lower right in there. Now, sometimes these double dies are not really significant in terms of seeing actually doubled letters that are separated from one another, like on that 2-pound Great Britain coin that we've bought from overseas from my friends like Gavin and others, and we've had certified. So sometimes the doubled dies are a little more subtle. But what do you think? Is this machine doubling? Perhaps, but not as telling as the previous one. Okay, I'm not going to go back to the desk camera. I'm just going to grab the next one and drop it in, and we'll see what that 72 looks like. We'll rotate it around. Now you can see on the inner side, which is in more keeping with what we saw in Variety Vista, there is some indication of doubling on the inner. There is some on the outside of the 7. I don't know, it's still suspect. And then to the left on the 1. Not as dramatic as the other one. Let's go and look at the Liberty. Liberty seems to be more telling, because if you look at the I in Liberty right there, you can actually see some doubling on the right-hand side. And again, on the right-hand side of that upper leg of the L. And then also on the B. Look over here on the Y. You can actually see on the right-hand leg of the upper Y, you can see doubling right there and a double notching on that right-hand upper leg. So again, is it a double die? Kind of looks like it, but maybe they will say it's machine doubling. Let's look at the In God We Trust. Now there seems to be something going on, again, with that lower G, the outside part of the G, right in that area right there. And then you can kind of see some shadow doubling up here on the right leg on the inside of the N. The O seems to have something sticking out beneath the bottom part of the O right there. Try to keep it out of the light up there. The E has something going on to the outside of the E on the left-hand side. The R in Trust, again, has something sneaking out on the right-hand side. But I'm not smart enough to say, yes, this is a double die. So what do you think? That's coin number 3 that I showed you. You think it's machine doubling or a double die? Let's go to coin number 4. Okay, this is coin number 4. And again, we have the hip of the 2. There appears to be some doubling on the outside right there. The 7, and there's, whether it's how the 1 was sculpted, or maybe it's doubling on the right-hand side of the 1. Hard to say. The L, the doubling is a bit more pronounced, right? Look at the B. The B has doubling that's sticking out beyond the top B. And again, we see on the Y up here, there's doubling. Not only that Y that's beneath the top Y seems to be to the right and below. You can see that leg sticking out beneath the lower part of the Y. Interesting. And you can see on the inner part of the vertical part, left-hand side of the R, something sticking out right there. I'm looking at In God We Trust. Nothing real significant. We're still seeing that thing that sticks out beneath the hook of the G, right beneath it. Not seeing anything else quite striking. I'm sure if we look closely enough, we would find more. Right here on that 2, which is really telling to me, there seems to be a notching of that upper arm of the 2 at the tip there. And again, that is indicative, one of the tells of double dies. Okay, let's go to the next one. That was coin 4. Let's go to coin 5. Here we go. Let's go down to the date. On the right-hand side of each of the numbers, there appears to be some doubling in the 9 and the 7 and the 2. Let's look at that tip of that 1, the 2. Yeah, you can see that now as I turn it. Look at the 7. Look at the 9. And look at the 2. Could be how it's sculpted. I don't know. Whoops. And on Liberty, we get the same sort of tells here. There is some doubling sneaking out from the L on the right-hand side. The I that's beneath the main I seems to be to the right and up. You can see that same with the B that's sneaking out right there. And with the R. And again with the Y. Here on the N, you see the left leg of the N. It's the peeking out beneath it on both the leg, the left leg, and then the hook of the N as it comes slanting down and then back up. You see a little bit of indication of an N beneath that. Again, nothing prolific like in the complete separation of the letters. Let's go to, that was coin number 5. Let's go to coin number 6. We can see lots going on with this one, although it could be how the letters and the numbers are sculpted. Seems to be something hidden beneath that 9. Oh, look at the 2. Now you see that hook coming out of the upper tip of the 2, just right in there. That seems to be a notched end, which would be indicative of a doubled die. At least in my book, the way I interpret what I've read and researched and what I've seen on other double dies that I have. Some of the same sorts of tells are going on with Liberty. We have some doubling right there. We have some doubling on the I. And then right in there on the lower curve of the B, we see something sticking out. And again, we have that notching, similar notching on the Y. And so that Y looks to be to the right and up a bit of the upper, the Y that's on top. Look at the G. Now we can see on the upper hook of the G, a little bit of doubling on that notching right there. And then beneath it, some may say, well, that's mechanical damaging. It could be, but I'm just looking for things that look familiar when we do have double dies. Okay, that was coin number 6. Let's go to coin number 7. We have 2 more coins, including this one. This one, the 72, does appear to have some doubling on the back side of the 2 and on the inside. And on the lower tip of the 2, there appears to be a little bit of notching on the left-hand side. Liberty, again, has some of the similar features that we've already talked about. The L has something sneaking out to the right of it. The I, similarly. Inside the B, there appears to be something approaching out from that edge of the B to the right. And same thing with the curve of the B on the right-hand side. And then we have that notching again on the Y with that secondary image down there. And the N, God, we trust, certainly has some mechanical damaging. We're not going to pay any attention to that one. So is this double die? Maybe, maybe not. And lastly, we go to coin number, which one was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, coin number 8. So I'm just kind of moving around. Now, on that picture, you see that there's a secondary 9 that's to the north and west of the primary 9. That's kind of interesting. You see on the back side of the 2, there appears to be some notching there, or separation. Maybe I shouldn't say separation, doubling. And again, some of the same features with Liberty, nothing really telling than what we've already mentioned. Same thing with In God We Trust. Okay, I'm going to flip back to the first coin that we looked at. This one seems to be the most significant of what we've seen. Is it a double die? It kind of looks that way to me, right? And now we'll go back to the desk camera. And we have a whole box to get through. All of these came out of the rolls, and all of them have some feature of doubling on them, whether it's machine doubling or whether or not it really is a true 1972 double die, one of the varieties. Now, there are, in the 1972 double dies, I have a few, and they are quite significant in their separation. Okay, so, those were kind of hidden tells and looking very closely at the coin. Let's flip back before I go. I'm going to flip back to the coin under the microscope. It is different from what I'm about to show you. You see this? It is different from what's coming up next. Going back to the desk microscope camera view. And what we have here, I've got it in a protective sleeve. By the way, these are card sleeves for certified graded cards, and I use them to protect the actual slab coin. Now it's inside another protective sleeve. Let's see if I can get that one open. And that is to keep the slab in good condition. Let's see if we can get it up close. Will it focus? Let's bring in this light a little bit better. You're going to see the doubling up and more pronounced in Liberty and in God We Trust here. You can kind of see it there, but it will not focus completely. I've got some bars coming in from the camera. Okay, so you can see here it says 1972 double die Obverse MS66 red. I'm going to take this coin and I'm going to put it under the coin microscope. And I'll have to refocus it. Now you can see this clearly. Look at the In God We Trust. Look at that separation of the In God we trust. Isn't that beautiful? And look at the date down here. Clearly, there's dramatic separation. And look at Liberty. I love it. So let's go back and look at it again now that it's more precisely in focus. Wow. There's no doubt that that's not a double die. These, it takes no real expert to say it's a double die. Some of the ones that I've been showing you, especially that first coin, could be a double die. And when you look at these certified coins, what you'll see is that some of them that are asserted as double dies just have hints of the doubling. And that's where there's been a doubled image placed on the hammer die when it hammers in the Obverse. It's not actually machine doubling where it bounces and creates a secondary image. This image that you're seeing on the microscope with Liberty, that is actually on the die that makes the coin. That's the reason why it's called a doubled die. All right. Hopefully this has been interesting to you. I love my collection of double dies. I tried to build that. I've got significant numbers of double dies like you just saw, both from Europe, from Australia, from Southeast Asia, and from the United States. And perhaps this is one of my most cherished ones. You know how you have a goal and you're collecting? My goal is to get a 1955 double die and try to get the double dies that are in the 68 and 69 Lincoln cents as well. Now, with that, my friends, I think I'm done. Hopefully, I haven't bored you. I hope you've enjoyed this. You take care of yourself. And remember, if you're out there and you're not looking, you're not finding. So you always have to be on the hunt. And with that, take care and all the best.